Good morning, guys. Brian Gleis from the Scott Insurance Agency again. Want to talk to you more about workers' compensation, but we're going to spend some time specifically on your Emod, your experience modification factor. Now, fancy schmancy insurance talk. Experience modification factor is something that is assigned to you by the NCCI, which is the governing body of workers' compensation. There's a few things that you have to do in order to get an experience modification factor. Sometimes it's about length of time in the market. Sometimes it's about the amount of premium that you're actually paying. But now then, when we want to break it down, the Emod is a designator that talks about your claims. Everybody starts out at a mod of 1. So 1 is normal. When you see a 1, it just means you're the same as everybody else out there. If your experience modification factor is higher than 1, a 1.23 or something like that, it means your claims experience is worse than the average employer that's out there, and you are actually getting charged more than the next contractor standing next to you that doesn't have those types of claims. Subsequently, if it's less than 1, if it's a 0.83 or a 0.9 whatever, okay, you are actually getting charged less than the average contractor that's out there. And that's part of the game plan. Workers' compensation insurance is one of the few insurances that you actually have control over. And what I mean by that, your policies and procedures on the job site have a direct impact on how much you pay every single day. So putting that culture of safety into your organization sounds like a total geeky thing, but it will reap its dividends. So I want you to think about this, all right? If your experience modification factor was less than 1, and the other contractor that's bidding on the same job that you has an experience modification factor over 1, meaning they're paying more for their workers' compensation, you have the opportunity to outbid that other contractor who's paying more on their workers' compensation simply because you're running your business in a safer fashion. You're taking it seriously. You're having your guys use their personal protective equipment. You're having those safety meetings. You have the seatbelt policies in force. You have the training for the drivers. We have all different kinds of things on our YouTube page as far as sample safety policies, sample cell phone policies, all kinds of samples that you can use to put in place to help you. So the experience modification factor drives your premium, how much you pay. So it's important to work on that every single year. Let me give you an example. If one of your employees is driving a company truck and that employee is rear-ended, okay, it was not the employee's fault, but there's still a workers' compensation claim filed for that employee. The workers' compensation company should subrogate, which is a fancy word for say go after the person that rear-ended your employee to recoup all of their costs. You want to make sure, along with your insurance agent, that the workers' compensation company is doing exactly that, subrogating against the other company. Because yes, you have workers' compensation for just that reason, but it was not your fault that some other knucklehead rear-ended your employee. So we want to get as much out of that person that hit your employee's insurance as possible. We want them to pay the workers' compensation company back, which is kind of a no-brainer. But in today's world, we have to push it sometimes. So we want to protect your Emod, your experience modification factor, with all of our might. Work with your insurance agent on it. It doesn't happen by luck. To protect your Emod, you're going to look at your claims. You're going to have a return to work policy, so your guys aren't off work. We're going to have them return to work on light duty and things like that. If your current insurance agent is not talking to you about these things, please don't hesitate to give us a call at the Scott Agency. or go to your insurance agent and say, why aren't we talking about these things? I want to put in a program where you, Mr. Insurance Agent or Mrs. Insurance Agent, are helping me keep my Emod down as low as it possible by looking at the loss history and making sure everything's going according to plan. So Emod, Experience Modification Factor, you've got to know what that means. You've got to know how to protect it. You've got to put in the work up front. Being proactive is the only way to make your Emod work. If you're reactive, you will never ever get it under control. Let us help you with your policies. Let us help you with your procedures. We're in it together. Thank you. Bye-bye.